Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer today. Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys are all excited for the holidays and the end of the year. And I've got a little gift for you. I actually set aside some time to create a list of the most important transits for each and every one of the 12 rising signs in 2025. So Christmas came early. I'm excited to dive into this video for you guys. This is going to be a two-part video, so you're going to have to come back on Thursday and finish the rest of the 12 rising signs. As a reminder, I'm a Western astrologer, and this is going to be my hottest transit predictions in 2025. And you're going to want to listen to your rising sign. So figure out the 9 o'clock hour in your chart. That's the one you're going to listen to. And if you don't know your chart, consider booking a reading with me at beyondtheveiltarot.com, or you can check out your chart online. You can pull up a calculator, put in the time and the date and the location of birth, and you're going to be able to see your chart. You can also listen to your sun sign as well as your moon sign. This will certainly apply to those as well. But you guys are going to find that the ingresses, the transits that are taking place, are going to correlate more so with the rising sign because it's going to be going into specific houses. Now, also, if you guys want more astrology in your life in 2025 and you want a more in-depth deep dive on the specific transits that are taking place next year, like the eclipses, as well as all of the outer planets changing signs, hang out with me on New Year's Day. I'll be here on January 1st, 2025, doing a live webinar via private YouTube link. We do this every year. It's super fun. I give you all of my predictions for the next year, and we do a deep dive into the 12 signs. And I talk to you guys about all the unique happenings for the year ahead. So it's really fun. Bring your PJs, your hangover snacks, your 2025 planners, because we have so much new astrology to talk about next year. I am so excited to have some new content to be creating for you guys. You can find tickets to this event on my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. All right, so I'm not gonna waste a lot of time. We're gonna get right into it. And today's video, we're gonna be doing the first 6 rising signs. We're gonna be talking about Aries through Virgo. Now, don't click away. If you have a moon or a sun sign in one of these 6 signs, you're gonna wanna listen because it will definitely pertain to you as well. I do not go into everything, which is why you guys have to join me for my live event, but I did want to create some content for you guys over this next week to kind of listen and think about as you're kind of reflecting on what's happened in 2024 and what's going to be taking place in 2025. And you know what? This next year is a big year for change. And I know every astrologer is screaming this from the rooftops right now, but it is. We see so many planets changing signs. We have new eclipses coming in with the nodes moving into Pisces and Virgo. We also have a Venus retrograde, a Mars retrograde kicking off the year, and just so much stuff. So I narrowed it down to, I think, the most important transit for each and every one of the 12 rising signs. So we're going to start first with Aries and Aries rising. So if you're an Aries rising, a sun or a moon, here's what I think is most important for you in 2025. It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up between both the solar eclipse in Aries, which is wrapping up what's been almost 2 years of eclipses involving the North Node in your sign and the South Node in Libra. This has been a period of time where you have been trying to reinvent yourself, become more independent, become more active, focus on your own goals. And 2025 is a year where Saturn and Neptune moving into your sign is going to change everything. And I think that on top of a solar eclipse that's going to be taking place, the last one is kind of like the icing on the cake. So you will actually see a solar eclipse in your sign, which is going to be connected to the North Node, even though it will be in Pisces. And this is going to be in your first house of self. So the self, the body, anything revolving around your appearance, anything in regards to new personal goals. Solar eclipses are all about new beginnings, and this is when we see doors close and doors open. So if you want to start the year off really focusing on health and habits, this is a good one to kind of focus on, especially considering the fact that, you know, you are going to be seeing Mercury, your health lord, your work lord, also retrograding in your first house at the same time. Now, it's going to feel a little bit like you're trying to reassess or kind of figure out, what are my goals? How can I be healthier? Where can I make changes in regards to my work, my habits, or my routine? And that's still kind of getting worked out. It's almost like kind of deja vu. If you remember the Mercury retrograde and the solar eclipse in the spring of 24, we had the same damn thing going on. We had a Mercury retrograde and eclipse in your sign. So it took a little bit of time for that to unfold. Now, you're going to be seeing at the beginning of March, you know, Venus will be retrograde. So some of you guys are going to be making some changes in regards to self-love, making some changes to your appearance. Maybe you're reevaluating relationships, and Mercury is there as well. So you're going to be asking yourself, what is and is not healthy for me? How can I make more time for love? How can I bring more partnership into my life? Do I even want one? Because obviously, you know, the opposite sign is Libra. Anyway, then you're going to see this solar eclipse on the 29th of March, followed by kind of getting into later in the year when you're going to see both Saturn as well as Neptune move through your sign. Now in 2025, Saturn will go into Aries, retrograde back into Pisces. Neptune will go into Aries, retrograde back into Pisces. So you're going to have a brief time in the late spring into the summer where you're going to get a glimpse of this new future self, this new life for yourself. Saturn obviously is associated with your career, your reputation, anything revolving around responsibility, as well as your 11th house of goals and derivative income that comes from your work. So if you're an Aries rising, sun, moon, and you have ever wanted to work for yourself, if you want to get into something that's more entrepreneurial, if you want to break away from an old identity, if you're wanting to start a new business, a new association, a network, or a group, now is your time. The key here is that you have to merge both Saturn and Neptune together. Now, this is a conjunction that we see roughly every 36, 37 years. And it's about literally taking our dreams, Neptune, and making it real, making it solid. Now, you know, because you're an Aries, sun, moon, rising, and you're ruled by Mars, that there's always this sense of urgency. So when we have planets go into Aries, it's like, we got to do it. We got to do it now. And what's so interesting is that both Saturn and Neptune will go in and out of that 0-degree cardinal point of Aries, which is the start of something new. So it's something you've never done before. Maybe it's a new and improved version of you that's emerging. Maybe you're just going to start kind of getting more active in your career. Maybe you're going to start a new networking group. Maybe this is just more about kind of becoming the person that you have always felt like you are on the inside, and now allowing that to kind of show on the outside. And then Venus and Mercury will retrograde also over those 0 degrees. So it's just like boom, boom, boom. So many new beginnings and opportunities that are kind of coming to you in the springtime. Wow, you were definitely one of the main characters of 2025. So there would be this feeling with Saturn, Neptune going into your sign and then retrograding back into Pisces that you're going, ooh, okay, do I like these new beginnings? Or suddenly now you're more independent. Suddenly now you're working for yourself, or maybe you're making changes and breaking away from relationships. That could definitely happen. And you're going to start to get a glimpse of what your life is going to look like. So the long and short of it is this. I do feel like with this transit for you, there is going to be this theme revolving around identity and expression, okay? Because Saturn in Aries, particularly in the first house, it's bringing a phase where you're encouraged to define your identity more clearly. I am is the phrase that you're going to be wanting to use in 2025. Now, this might involve a period of self-discipline and also like you're learning to take your personal ambitions and desires more seriously, Saturn, and grounding typically impulsive energies that are associated with Aries in a more Saturn sense. So you're bringing more responsibility and kind of structure into your life. Can this bring challenges for growth? Absolutely. I'm not going to candy coat it. But I do feel like Saturn in the first house is about holding yourself accountable. You may have some challenges when it comes to new habits and new beginnings. But I do feel like this is about how you're learning to assert yourself more right? Which is not really a problem for you guys, but doing it in a more kind of structured way. And this is about initiating things. Literally, Saturn is connected to your 11th house, your goals. So Saturn's transits at first can feel restrictive and it'll test your patience, and it's kind of like pushing you to build your character and have more endurance and more maturity. But this transit could manifest for you guys as, delays or obstacles in personal projects or your self-image. And it's happening intentionally because it's trying to urge you to slow down and reassess your approach or your goals. Now, big themes revolving around your career, public image. Obviously, that's the connection to the 10th house. And this might mean that it's just emphasizing the need to kind of have a lot of hard work and possibly, leading to recognition in your efforts if you are consistent. You can't drop the ball. But I do feel like, you might also feel like there's higher expectations. You have higher expectations of yourself. Maybe you're going to be much more difficult on yourself than normal. Try to learn to not allow negativity, criticism, things like that to impact you, especially physically or emotionally. I think that's going to be a big theme that's going to come up for you guys. Now with Neptune going into your sign, okay, so this is rather unusual. Both planets are going to be kind of dancing side by side. Eventually in February of 2026, they will align in your sign and they will be conjunct. So it's this build-up point to that. And, Neptune is typically, and it has been for the last number of years in Pisces, been very elusive. It's been hard to see things clearly. There has been a sense of maybe feeling like lost or tired, or maybe there's like a lot of dreams, but not a lot of action. So Neptune going into your sign, I think, is going to be interesting because it can bring about a spiritual awakening for you guys. So there can be this sense of awakening to your true identity. Aries is the warrior, so it can be you realizing what your spiritual purpose and your spiritual mission is. Neptune here, yes, it will blur your identity. Some of you guys may feel like you're having a brief identity crisis, but it can also lead to a period of creative or spiritual exploration. This transit will encourage you guys to be much more introspective and perhaps less aggressive, and be focusing on fantasies and dreams. And yes, there can be some idealistic kind of pursuits that can happen, but Saturn's there to basically say, hey, if this is your dream, you have to take it seriously. You have to really, really pace yourself and make sure that you're going in the right direction. I love this transit for those of you guys who are drawn to spiritual practices or artistic endeavors. This is a way to really kind of refine or explore this new identity that's emerging. But obviously with Saturn, Neptune, it's about illusion and reality. So this influence can sometimes lead to confusion. We can see issues with escapism and where you may struggle with illusions about yourself or your capabilities. So it's a time to really distinguish between what's real and what's just kind of like a pipe dream. I think that's really what's going to come up for Aries. Be mindful that you're going to be having to really stay on top of any issues with like self-deception or overly idealistic views of self-development, right? And the first house is like, not just the self and the body, but this is what you do first thing in the morning. So I would really encourage a lot of Aries and Aries risings to get up, to do something spiritual, to meditate, to pray, to take some time alone to reflect. And for some of you guys, it doesn't mean you have to sit in a room and be quiet. It means, working out might be your church or your spiritual practice, a way of clearing your mind and connecting the body and the spirit. But above all, I feel like this is going to be bringing you opportunities for more compassion and sensitivity. So this transit can definitely increase your empathy, your sensitivity, your psychic abilities, and also your awareness of others' needs. The only catch here is that you need to be mindful that you're more vulnerable to be taken care of with Neptune on your ascendant, or feeling overwhelmed with the world's harsh realities. So what do you do when the world gets challenging, right? You maintain that high vibration. There may be a combination of visualizations, meditations that you're using that's about kind of fire, working with the element of fire, anything that's going to kind of keep you protected. I think of like Saint Michael or anything like that, where you're invoking a flame and you're seeing that as something that grounds you and protects you in your day-to-day. So the takeaway here, balance and grounding, so that way you're able to navigate and manage the energies of Neptune. Really practice self-discipline and be mindful of boundaries. This could be professional boundaries, personal boundaries, relationship boundaries. Embrace the change and growth, but take your time. There's no need to rush through this transit. You're going to see so many things that are going to be unfolding in March and April. It's going to make your head spin, and it's kind of like preparing for Saturn and Neptune's full ingress that will be taking place really throughout the year, but officially the conjunction will be at the beginning of 2026. So think about where you want to be by the beginning of 2026. How do you want to look? What kind of a career do you want? How do you want to be kind of defining yourself? Above all, with retrogrades in the first house this spring, you have to take care of your health. So health and well-being is very important, but with Saturn here, we can be feeling the aging kind of stuff kicking in. We can feel the aches and pains that can be going on with our knees, and we can see more wrinkles in the mirror. So definitely focus on your health. Be mindful that Neptune can have escapism tendencies, and Saturn, can bring stress. So maintaining a real heavy focus on your physical and your mental health is imperative. Some of you guys might decide to say, you know what, I'm not drinking anymore. I'm going to be sober. I'm going to be getting up first thing in the morning. I'm going to be working out. There is going to be this sense of wanting to do life without any Neptunian influence, and like really wanting to kind of be crystal clear and all there. Regular routines, is going to help you, and also incorporating some kind of healing therapies can be beneficial as well. Do your best to communicate when you can during that Mercury retrograde. It can be a little wonky and kind of expressing yourself and explaining to people how you're feeling, because planets will be going into the 12th house. You'll see Mercury and Venus go into the 12th house, and it's still processing something, and then it's going to come back into your first house later in April. I do think that this transit in a nutshell is going to be about redefining yourself through a blend of hard work as well as spiritual exploration, requiring you to navigate between the concrete and also the etheric kind of aspects of life. Okay, so I'm excited to see what kind of happens. You guys are coming out of your kind of cocoon phase, and the butterfly is starting to kind of emerge in the spring. So you'll have to let me know what those manifestations are. And don't forget, 2025 starts with Mars retrograde, okay? So it's going to be retrograde until the beginning of February. Actually, I think it's closer to mid-February now that I think about it. But Mars is your chart ruler, and it's been retrograding in Leo, and now it's moved back into Cancer. So you'll be dealing with that the first 2 months of the year. You're kind of dealing with a situation involving your home or your family. Maybe you're moving, you're renovating, there's work to be done. It may involve, work revolving around a romantic relationship if you're moving in or out of a space with somebody, or children. You could be preparing your home for kids to come. You could be preparing your home for kids to kind of leave. And there could be lots of changes going on with property and real estate, okay? All right, Aries, I'm excited to see what happens for you in this next year. It is definitely going to be a big one. All right, so we're going to move now to Taurus and Taurus rising. What's up, Taurus? I'm excited to chat with you about 2025. I think the most important transit that's going to be happening for you, Taurus, is also going to be the Venus retrograde. And a lot of that is because Venus is your chart ruler. So wherever Venus goes, especially in a year where there's a retrograde, you need to know. Venus obviously is associated with your first house. So this is your body, your appearance, your kind of physical disposition, how you're dressing, how you look, and your body. So this is the time where you want to be mindful of your health. Now, Venus is also connected to your 6th house of health, habits, and routines, work, workspaces, coworkers, that kind of stuff. So you are coming out of what has been 2 years of eclipses that have been happening in your work and health zone, and also in your 12th house of spirituality, hidden worlds, and rest and recuperation. So you've got one more, obviously, that's going to happen in March. But it's interesting to kind of look at the Venus retrograde, which is going to start in Aries. So this is a sign where Venus is obviously debilitated. She's moving through a sign that's associated with Mars, which does bring more strife and sometimes conflict or challenges in relationships. However, Venus is going to be retrograding in a very spiritual part of your chart. It's going to be retrograding in the 12th house, and that'll be at the beginning of March of 2025. Now, obviously, I'm sure many of you guys know this, but when your chart ruler is retrograde, we don't want to make any major changes to our appearance, okay? So health stuff can come up. There can be sometimes some need to kind of pause and reflect when it comes to your life, your appearance, your health, your habits, where you're working, how you're working. And you're going to see Venus that will retrograde from your 12th into Pisces in your 11th. So my kind of feeling on this is that this is going to be a period of time for you, March into April of 2025, where there's going to be a lot of inner reflection. What are you reflecting on? It really depends. You could be reflecting on relationships, right? Relationships that you have to sixth house people. It could mean that you're reflecting on your relationship to coworkers, your relationship habits, your relationship issues, relationship to your healthcare team, practitioners. And when we have retrogrades, we are reevaluating, reworking, returning, reassessing, and there's karmic stuff that happens. Now, what's difficult here is that the 12th house, where it starts its retrograde, is a house that deals with hidden enemies, right? Ooh, but it can mean that there is some truth being revealed to you about your relationships. It can be what's not working in relationships. It can be relationship to your schedule, your health, your habits, and it will go into your 11th house, where you can say, okay, I've cleared out some of these issues. I've dealt with it. I've healed it. Now I have stronger, better goals. And also it's bringing you back into your social life. It's allowing you to be with your friends and going to parties and celebrating and having a good time. So what you want to do with Venus retrograde in the 12th house is you want to be reflecting on your identity and your personal style. I feel like with Venus retrograde in the 12th, you might experience a period where you reflect deeply on your relationships, both romantic and platonic. There can be the sense of revisiting past connections or unresolved issues in love. This can also bring up hidden desires, okay? So this relates to the subconscious. This is like secrets and things that are hidden. Venus here might stir up some fantasies that you usually keep private, pushing you to acknowledge or confront them. And there is this tendency to kind of retreat and also have time to kind of be alone, especially, Venus in the 12th house. It could, in a positive manner, be going to foreign countries. It could be going to churches, spiritual centers, retreats. But 12th house is things like hospitals, healing centers, rehabs, jail, prison, that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying that's going to happen to you, but when you have this forecast, you can go, okay, this is a time where I consciously need to be away in nature, or I need to be meditating more, or I maybe should be traveling. And it may actually help kind of clear and cleanse your soul, help you realize what your goals are for 2025 as they retrograde back to Pisces. So, if you're feeling pulled towards solitude, it makes sense. If you can get some time to rest and recharge, it can be really positive for you, especially if you have anything creative or spiritual that you can do activity-wise. Now, at the same time, you'll see Mercury retrograde, and this will be happening as well, and it will come into conjunction with Venus. So this brings up, obviously, deep-seated subconscious stuff, sometimes some communication challenges. You're kind of trying to get mental clarity, and you're using your intuition and maybe revisiting past ideas. Past creative projects can be coming up because of Mercury's connection to your 5th. There can also be reevaluating, what you can do creatively, new ways of being able to make money. So, the 12th house is a very intuitive house. You may have vivid dreams and things that you're trying to decipher. I would revisit past ideas. I think if you have any unfinished creative projects or unfinished things, or even if there's some secret projects or spiritual study or just need for introspection, it can be really beneficial for you. So my takeaway for you on the Venus Mercury retrograde is embrace solitude with this in your 12th house. Take the necessary time for introspection. Embrace being alone, meditating, and doing something creative. It's time to listen to your inner voice and not be seeking external validation from other people. I really want you to reassess relationships, whether this is with people you work with, if this is a relationship to yourself or your romantic partners. Ask yourself, what do you truly want from your relationships? Old flames can appear. It can give you a chance to resolve past issues and help you feel better about getting closure. I want you to be patient with communication, because obviously this is going to be, you know, a Mercury retrograde in the mix of a Venus retrograde, and the mind and the heart is going to be all mixed up for some people. So, you know, there can be some delays or some miscommunications. And if you're patient with others and yourself, you're going to get some clear messages from your higher self, from your guides, from the universe about what direction you need to be going in. Have creative outlets, okay? Artistic expression, so writing, painting, music, you know, anything that's therapeutic is going to be really helpful with these retrogrades in your 12th house. And obviously, avoid rash decisions. Nothing impulsive we're going to do during that time, because with retrograde motion, it means that it's wise to hold off making big decisions when it comes to love, money, relationships, any of that stuff, until after the retrogrades clear out. So rather than acting hasty, let's kind of wait for the dust to settle, and then we will see what's going to be revealed. And you're going to start getting clarity around like the 17th of April on. So once you're getting to about mid-April, the Venus retrograde's calming down, the Mercury retrograde's calming down, the solar eclipse is over, and then you're going to be able to kind of reassess, and I think you're going to come back refreshed, and it's going to be really good for you in kicking off this new year. Let me know, Taurus. I'm excited to see what happens for you guys. You'll have to keep me updated. All right, we've got Gemini and Gemini rising. What's up, Gemini? Welcome to 2025. My hot transit for you this next year, of course, is Uranus in Gemini. So now you guys are going to be a rebel with a cause. I hope you're excited for this transit. This is going to be kicking off in July of 2025. You will see a rather once in a lifetime transit. If you're old enough, you might see it twice, especially if you're having your Uranus return. But you know, Uranus in your first house is definitely going to turn some heads. So if you're a Gemini rising, you have Uranus coming into your first house. You've got a planet of unpredictable twists, turns, excitement, freedom, revolution, rebelliousness entering into your sign. So this is all going to be about really impacting your identity and your self-expression. So the first house is your body, your appearance, how you kind of show up in the world. And it's going to bring sudden changes or sudden awakenings in how you see yourself or how you express your identity with other people. Some of you may experiment with different looks or ideas, you know, new ways of presenting yourself to the world. And it can be a time of personal reinvention and liberation from the past, whether that's self-imposed or things that you feel like have been imposed on you from society. You know, Uranus is connected to your 9th house, so there's going to be a lot of 9th house themes that are going to kind of come in with this transit. But just know that in the first house, it's about unpredictability and change. So expect sudden shifts in your life. Your daily routines, your style, even how you approach life might really shift in very unexpected ways. Likely you'll have this urge for freedom and uniqueness, and it might manifest at first as a feeling of being kind of like, you know, high on caffeine or a little kind of buzzed, or maybe even, you know, a little like erratic. But it's really teaching you that you need to break free from routines that are no longer serving you. So you're going to notice that you might be even a little bit more kind of squirrely than you usually are. And that connection to the 9th house, because it is the modern day ruler of Aquarius, is going to be bringing major shifts revolving around education. You know, it can be about your philosophical beliefs. You know, Uranus connected to this house, you'll experience sudden changes in your beliefs. You might get really involved in education or long distance travel. You could be drawn to unconventional philosophies or new forms of study or different cultures in a very spontaneous manner. I anticipate Geminis are going to be catching flights, not feelings, you know, and some of you guys may actually take an interest in learning a new language, possibly, you know, going away to school, traveling to foreign places, teaching, learning about metaphysics, science, technology, astrology. That might be something you guys get really into. Now, this is also about expanding your horizons, okay? Because there's an opportunity to expand your worldview when you're dealing with your 9th house ruler in unexpected ways. So that can mean literal travel or exploring new territories through study or interaction with people from different backgrounds. Many of you guys might have legal or publishing breakthroughs. So this is going to give you the opportunity to, you know, maybe finally, make some changes that involves legal matters or publishing a book or, taking or finishing a class. And there can be lots of innovations here as well. So you can be finding that new things that you're learning is kind of freeing your mind and opening up your perspective. Now, the one thing that you need to know is that you can't really plan with the Uranus transit. Okay, that's the bottom line. You think it's going to go left, it's going to go right. You think you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And you're going to feel the sense of impatience that's going to kind of come up because it wants to free itself. So embrace change. I know you do well with change. I just feel like you might be somebody who's one way one day and then you're changing very quickly the next week. And it could be your style, it could be your perspective. You could be very restless and like wanting to kind of move around a lot and travel a lot. And you're going to have to listen to that, right? Pluto's in the 9th house too. So it's kind of doing the same thing. So the key here is do not resist, because if you resist with Uranus transits, it leads to more disruption. So you just want to kind of flow with these shifts. This can be an exciting time if you embrace the unpredictability, stay flexible, your routines and even your identity might be in flux for the next couple of years. And this is about really learning to adapt, and this will become your greatest asset. And I think you should be ready to pivot in either your personal life, your career, or in terms of your education. And at the very least, it'll be entertaining. So I don't think it's going to get boring. Do consider educating yourself. I think this is really important, and always try to engage in learning opportunities in ways that excite you. So especially if it's something that's non-traditional or innovative. So online courses, workshops on new technology, even a self-study course in areas like astrology or quantum physics. These might be things that you're kind of drawn to because of, well, Uranus. Travel, explore, go and see places that you never thought you would go. You might travel on a whim. You might have opportunities to also, travel for work. That can also be something that can come up with Pluto in your 9th. Embrace personal freedom. Be open to innovative new projects and intellectual pursuits. I think that if you think outside of the box with this transit, it's going to put you in a position where you're ahead of the curve of other people. Just be mindful of your health and your nervous system. So when Uranus is usually on the ascendant, I've had years of Taurus risings who have been going through this that have just noticed that their nervous system is kind of wound up pretty tight. So Uranus is associated and has connections to the nervous system. Thus, stress management is crucial during this transit. So engage in activities that calm your mind. Meditation, yoga, breath work can be really helpful. Walking, jogging, biking, and navigating this in a way where you have an outlet for some of this energy. Be mindful of stimulants, sugar, caffeine, nicotine. These things can also make you feel a little wired, okay? Basically, in a nutshell, this is going to be a period for you, Gemini, that is about embracing your individuality, expanding your mind, and possibly redefining your life path. Just remember that with Uranus, the only constant is change, so you have to keep an open mind and an adaptable spirit. All right, so let me know what happens, Gemini. I can't wait to hear. All right, so we have got now, oops. Sorry, I got to turn my there we go. Turn my marker off. All right, so we've got Cancer and Cancer rising. What's going on, Cancer? Welcome to 2025. I'm excited to chat with you, and I think you have an epic transit that I picked out for you. This is going to be Jupiter transiting in the sign of Cancer. So in June of 2025, you are going to be seeing Jupiter enter to your sign, and this is going to be a once in a 12-year period where you get a fresh start. Okay, you have more opportunities. You're going to be more optimistic, happier. I think you're going to be also healthier because Jupiter's connected to your 6th house, but we'll get into that. Just know that Jupiter changes sign every year. So you may want to go back. You want to think about what was happening in 2013 when Jupiter went through Cancer the last time. What new beginnings, new opportunity, or growth did you experience? So Jupiter will be in the 1st house for my Cancer and Cancer risings, and it will be there all year. It won't retrograde until November. It'll stay there until spring, almost summer of 2026. So you got a whole year of fresh starts. And what Jupiter wants to bring you is personal growth and expansion. So Jupiter in the 1st house expands your sense of self. It does encourage personal growth, optimism, and to have a broader kind of outlook on life. I predict you're going to feel more confident, outgoing, and willing to take on new experiences and kind of move into new roles. Now, this does impact your physical appearance and your health, primarily because Jupiter is associated with your 6th. So you may be learning more about health, habits, routines. Maybe you are, focusing on, your emotional health, because obviously Cancer is a water sign, and it can be beneficial for your health. But also, we feel inclined to improve our physical appearance or well-being. Generally, this transit makes you like more radiant. It can be expansive. You can be glowing. You can get pregnant with Jupiter in your first house, and watch the transit, because you'll crave things that are sweet. Okay, or Jupiter wants sweetness. It wants abundance. It wants to overdo it, overdrink, oversleep, overeat, whatever. So it's not unusual, and many astrologers will tell you this, with a Jupiter transit, you can put on some pounds. Unless that's something you're trying to do, try to use the Jupiter energy in a way where you're learning, you're traveling, and you're focusing more on healthier habits, both habits as well as emotional habits. Now, I do think in terms of your identity and your self-expression, this is wonderful. I think that your identity might expand or evolve in some way. You could find yourself exploring new facets of your personality or expressing yourself in a more generous, creative way. Good news for work. I mean, come on, it's connected to your 6th house. So that means that work and health benefits are going to come your way. It can indicate a period where your work life and your daily routines are seeing positive developments. So this could mean like a better job, expanded role at work, working in a new office, or an improved kind of daily life. And I think a lot of that's going to be through your health and your habits that are going to be changing. This can also mean that there is more of an emphasis on service and duty. How you serve other people, what could manifest as more responsibilities, or willingly, finding joy in helping other people. Now, this could also mean that your work environment might become more supportive, or you take on projects that align more with your personal values. So if you're looking to get a new job, be around a new, group of people, if you're looking for a new office, things like that can kind of happen with this transit. I think your health philosophy might change a little bit, because, Jupiter is very sagely. He's got a lot of good advice. And so you might be adopting more holistic or kind of, different like Eastern modality type for healing. So I think of like acupuncture, feng shui, tai chi, anything like that that's going to be a little bit more natural. And perhaps you're going to be kind of exploring new philosophies about health, or new diets, or new exercise routines. So how is this going to be most beneficial for you? Well, at the very least, you're going to have opportunity for a healthier lifestyle. You're going to be happier. I think that you're going to be a little bit more optimistic. I think that you're also going to be, really somebody who people are looking to, who's going to like light up the room or give good advice. You may travel more. Jupiter on the ascendant can bring travel, and certainly it is traditionally associated with Pisces in your 9th house, where you will be having eclipses. But look forward to the self-improvement. Look forward to the opportunities, the blessings, the new beginnings that Jupiter is going to be bringing you. The sense of increased well-being, which I know you've been craving. And also, I think that this is going to potentially enhance your relationships, because whether it's professional or romantic, it's going to give you the opportunity to draw people in, to bring people to you. Now, how do you manage, or how do you channel this growth, right? You set intentions. Jupiter is prayers, it's belief, it's manifestation. So you really want to sit down and go, okay, what aspects of my life do I want to, expand or improve? And I think you're doing that now. I think with Jupiter in your 12th house in Gemini currently, and up until June, you're doing that. You're thinking about where you're going. You're writing about it. You're, manifesting it. You're visualizing it. And then it starts to rise on your ascendant in June of 25, and it becomes visible. So there can be some things that you're working on spiritually or mentally that then start to kind of impact your physical body. And you see these changes in a good way next summer. I would encourage you to focus on anything in regards to health and wellness, anything in regards to bettering your work or your job, your occupation, any new work opportunities. Be of service to others when you can, even if it's just making them laugh, or just being there for them emotionally. Focus on your personal image. This could be about updating your wardrobe, your style, and it's meant to reflect a brand new you. So it can mean that you're kind of presenting yourself in a much more confident or authentic way. Be open to education as well because of the association with Jupiter. I think that if you indulge in learning, whether this is formal education or self-study or exploring new cultures or philosophy, this can be a wonderful growth opportunity for you. It's going to make you feel more so balanced as well as a lot more optimistic. So essentially, 2025 is a golden opportunity for personal expansion for you, Cancer. Self-care, aligning with your daily life, and also a broader kind of perspective about the world. I think if you embrace this positive, generous energy while staying true to your Cancerian roots of nurturing and intuition, you can make the most out of this beneficial period, really from June of 2025 all the way into 2026. All right, so who do we have next? We've got Leo and Leo rising. What's up, Leo? How you doing? So I'm going to start off with the positive, and then we're going to talk about things that can be a little bit more challenging. It was hard for me to narrow it down for you guys. So the positive, obviously, you know, if you're a Leo rising, you're ruled by the sun. So new moons and solar eclipses are going to be big for you, right? The big one that I have for starters is going to be the solar eclipse in Aries, which is going to be the last eclipse in a series of eclipses that have been taking place in a fellow sister fire sign. So this eclipse is significant because it's basically saying you have an opportunity here to really focus on more ninth house topics. So things like new beginnings when it comes to expansion and new opportunities within the ninth house. So this is going to be like higher education, traveling, philosophy, new belief systems. And also like going to school. If you want to go back to college, you want to get a degree, if you want to do a training, a certification, if you have a dream to start traveling the world, right? These are the things that you can kind of set intentions on around that solar eclipse. I like it because it's going to be trining your sun, moon, or rising, especially if you're like 8, 9, 10 degrees Leo placements. I also like it because at the same time, we're seeing retrogrades in this house, which means that you're supposed to be preparing to kind of expand your mind or your perspective or your horizons. Shortly after this eclipse, you will see within weeks or months that it's going to manifest as learning more, traveling more, or bringing in a long distance relationship. And I say that because Saturn and Neptune will then enter the ninth house. Honestly, not a bad transit for you guys. It will be trining your sun, moon, or rising off and on in 2025 and 2026. You know, when Saturn enters the ninth house, a teacher appears, or we decide that we want to get a degree, or we start teaching, or we think about publishing a book, or we go, you know, on a lot of like long distance trips. So it depends on what's going on. So that's going to be a period of time where honestly, the ninth house is definitely positive things, but I think that the solar eclipse is going to bring sudden like revelations. And I think that it could mean that, you know, you experience like a moment where in regards to your beliefs, like things open up for you, like your perspective shifts and it leads to a change in either your career direction, an area of study, you know, something in terms of like your beliefs that's all going to open up. When the eclipse happens, the ruler is in your 12th house. So it could quite literally be about traveling in a foreign land or going to a foreign land for school, or maybe you're studying something that could be kind of like mystical or magical. And I think it's going to open the door for the next year where there could be more opportunities if you want to publish something. Yes, the ninth house is also about legal stuff. So there could be legal things brewing, or finally completing a court case or a legal case, or deciding that you are going to launch one. I really think that for you, this could manifest as, you know, just broadening your horizons and bringing in more positivity. And I think that this is also about really being open to new ideas. You know, the retrograde there is kind of saying the same thing. And that might be, you know, embracing education or planning a trip or engaging with different cultures or different philosophies, and that it's going to have a really positive impact on your life. To do this, I would say document your insights. I think this will be helpful if you keep a journal or a blog. You know, this eclipse might bring major reevaluations, and you'll want to return back to some of the stuff that you were thinking about or writing about in the future to help keep you on the path and prepare for change, because eclipses do bring change. Now, in terms of two other transits that I want to talk about, one is going to be over the summer. So you're going to see in July, you're going to have a Mercury retrograde that will be in your sign. I think this is important, and you may have like deja vu because you had a Mercury retrograde in summer of 2024 that was in your sign, and it's going to have some similar vibes, okay? So when Mercury goes retrograde in your sign, we turn inward, we reevaluate, we reassess, we ask ourselves, who am I? How do I want to communicate? How do I feel? What do I think? What do I have to say? And this retrograde is going to be in aspect to Pluto. So it's going to be about how you're communicating and connecting with another person. So it's going to be, you know, do I need to pull back? Am I communicating well in my relationships? Are other people receptive? Where can I refine myself, make the necessary changes? Especially because it's going to be, Mercury retrogrades are going to be more important this year. Because they're going to be connected to the South Node. So that particular period with the South Node being in your second house of money, your style will likely change. You will get rid of old clothes, old things that represent an old identity, and I encourage you to do that. You may also find that there's a lot of financial changes, okay? So you're changing your mind about how you're spending your money, how you're investing things, what you value, what you want to hold on to, what you want to kind of get rid of. And it's a time for you to say, you know what? I'm not holding on to things that represent an old version of me anymore. Let's get it out of here. Let's let it go. The third thing that's going to be kind of coming up in regards to that is going to be obviously the Pluto transit in your 7th house. So you've got Pluto now that's going to be in your opposite sign fully for the next 20 years. What can I say about this? If you have any Leo in your chart, 0 to about, let's say 4, maybe 5 degrees, you will be dealing with a Pluto opposition this year because Pluto will get up to about 3. So Pluto going through the 7th house can be extreme one way or the other, okay? And I've heard it all. Maybe you guys need to get a Cancer rising friend to talk to about these transits because they've had Pluto through their 7th house for a long time. What do I think can kind of happen here? Well, obviously Pluto brings change and transformation, right? And 7th house relationships. So it's going to translate to transformations in relationships. It can mean that it's ushering in deep transformation and changes with partnerships, both personal or business. Aquarius's influence here can mean that, you know, partners are acting unconventional. They're focusing on freedom and individuality within relationships. Pluto can bring power issues. So we can see issues of control and, you know, that kind of coming to the forefront. And you might encounter a need to like address these dynamics in your personal relationships. Now, if you're married or you're in a committed relationship or a business partnership, you may be seeing it from these people. Equally, Aquarius can be your friend. So it's just how you're connecting and correlating with, you know, with people. And Pluto also rules your 4th house of home. So there could be a lot of like confronting relationship issues from the past, confronting, you know, family issues and, you know, how family dynamics impact your relationships, or confronting changes in the home and how that impacts relationships. Yes, many of you guys right now at the end of December going into January are dealing with the Mars-Pluto opposition. So it's going to heat up right around New Year's Eve into the new year, the first couple days of January. That opposition means that you are supposed to be retreating and reflecting on where you're going, what you're doing, and you're giving other people space, and you're saying, you know what, I don't want anything to do with the drama. You know, I'm prioritizing me first, which I think is good. You will think about this also during the Mercury retrograde. That opposition will come back one more time in mid-April, so that's definitely a hot zone that you're going to want to watch. Essentially, you know, it's not all bad. I have seen people go through a Pluto transit in the 7th house where they meet an astrologer that changes their life and their perspective, because your 7th house is those who counsel you. Maybe it's a time where you decide to go into some kind of therapy, and it's like a huge, opportunity to unearth and clear out family karma and trauma. It can be a time where you're seeing your friends or your family going through major transformative periods, and they're changing and has nothing to do with you. I've also seen people who have Pluto in their 7th house and they meet somebody that they're just so strongly drawn to, and it feels like a soul connection and that it's really important. All you got to know is that Pluto there has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. So this is really, navigating this is about giving people space and embracing change, because relationships, when you have Pluto in Aquarius, can change in unexpected ways. Be open to change, even if it's difficult, because other people need to change to better relate to you. This is also about finding balance with independence and connection, because Aquarius is an influence here. It focuses on maintaining your individuality within partnerships. So you'll be seeking relationships that respect both partners' need for freedom. I do think that it's really helpful with the Mars retrograde right now to be taking time for deep introspection, understanding your own and others' behaviors and motivations in relationships. So whether that's therapy or deep discussions, this can be really beneficial. Watch out for the Pluto-Mars kind of power and control dynamics that can come up. Be mindful of, power struggles. Aim for mutual respect and transformation rather than control. And if you stay flexible, you focus on your self-care, you learn that you are growing, and also you are more mindful, I think, of, the Saturn-Neptune transit that's assisting you. Sometimes it means that diffusing some of this relationship intensity can happen through taking a course, going to school, traveling, doing things on your own. So you're not as much kind of entangled with some of that stuff. Now, obviously, some astrologers would look at this and say, well, Pluto in your 7th is going to sextile Saturn and Neptune. So these profound changes in relationships could lead to something like marriage, right? Saturn and Neptune in the 9th house could be a ceremony. It could be a legal binding commitment. And that is the change. It could be that it's the end or the death of a relationship, and then it's leading to some kind of legal separation and division of assets in the 9th house, as those planets are retrograding into the 8th house in March. So it depends on where you are. But I think that if anything, the Saturn-Neptune in the 9th house is helping you keep the faith. It's helping you focus on the bigger purpose of why things are happening. It's helping you explore and stay optimistic while you're in this period of being like other people are going through their stuff. So I'm hopeful for you guys. I know that this is going to be such a positive shift for you, and I'm hoping that you guys see the transformation in relationships in ways that really benefit you in the long term. Okay? All right, Leo, let me know what happens. And of course, we've got Virgo and Virgo rising. What's up, Virgo? So for you guys in 2025, first of all, Happy New Year. Welcome to the new year. So gosh, so much stuff is going on. It was hard for me to narrow it down. I would have to say that the most important is going to be the eclipses that will be taking place in Virgo and Pisces. I'm focusing more on the Virgo eclipses because that's going to be impacting you if you're a Virgo sun, moon, or rising. The truth is, though, is that these eclipses, both the solar eclipse that's going to be in Aries, as well as the lunar eclipse that's going to be in Virgo, they're doing things, right? There's Mercury things going on both ways. So just focusing more on the lunar eclipse that's going to happen in Virgo. So this is the first eclipse in the series of the new eclipses that are kind of coming through, with the south node going into your sign in the 1st house and the north node going into Pisces in your 7th house of relationships and others. This is a time to really pay attention to your health and your body. Okay, so with the south node eclipse in the 1st house, there is an emotional clearing. There is something that is being released. There is something changing. And Virgo deals with health, habits, routines, work, our day-to-day. And the ruler of this eclipse obviously is Mercury. And when it comes in mid-March, Mercury is about to retrograde. So you're actually going to see Mercury retrograde right around the time of the eclipse. It'll be retrograding with Venus in your 8th house. And this is a house that is deeply private. This is a house that is sensitive. This is an eclipse that is going to be bringing up both the need for self-reflection, because it's in the 1st house, and change, but also inner change, psychological change, healing trauma, healing things revolving around intimacy, endings and beginnings, changes in regards to your relationship, to partner's money, changes in regards to, I say endings, but the 8th house is associated with death, inheritance, taxes. So it may not mean that those things have to come up. They can for some people, but I think that you're going to realize that change is more than just on the surface. It's got to be internal. Shortly after this eclipse, you're going to see Saturn and Neptune also go into this house, highlighting themes revolving around therapy, finally dealing with shadow monsters and anything that you've been afraid to kind of confront. Now, an eclipse in the first house is going to likely be something about your identity, your appearance, and how you present yourself to the world. And it's about your self-image and your path. So it is a time of deep introspection regarding who you are and how you wish to be perceived. But you're going to realize if you want change on the outside, it's got to start with a change on the inside. I do feel like these eclipses are very significant for obviously release and new beginnings. You're going to see an eclipse that's going to be in your first house, both in March as well as September. We will see 2 new moons actually in Virgo this year. There's going to be a regular new moon at 0 degrees in the fall of Virgo season. And we're going to see a critical solar eclipse that will be happening at 29 degrees in your first house of your Virgo rising in opposition to Saturn and Neptune. So we put it all together, right? There is this ongoing theme between you removing or moving away or releasing who you used to be. And you're moving more in the direction of the North Node, Saturn, Neptune in your 7th house. Relationships, partnerships, spiritual connection, devotion, sacrifice. Now, on some cases, some of these eclipses will materialize as single Virgo and Virgo risings meeting their soulmate. It will be like the person they were destined to meet. It'll be too good to be true. You'll be like, oh my God, how did this happen? How did I meet them? This is strange and mysterious. And for other people who are committed, you're going to be looking at relationships going like, am I seeing them clearly? Are there things about them that are being revealed to me? Are they isolating and kind of separating? And is there some space? And is there something going on with them? Now, if your relationship is fine, great, give yourself a pat on the back. Certainly you can go through these eclipses with relationships. You just might notice that they're much more sensitive than usual, or they're maybe, going through something and they can be kind of struggling emotionally or spiritually with something and trying to figure out who they are. 7th house can bring also an astrologer. It can bring, a therapist. It can bring a business partner. So you're seeing the 1st and the 7th kind of houses kind of get lit up at the same time, which does bring changes to you and how you relate to other people. I feel like the first eclipse is going to be about your appearance and your behavior. The second one will as well. But you might find that you changing is in aspect to who's kind of coming into your life and who's partnering with you or kind of helping you navigate. Now, obviously, the South Node going through your first house, that's going to be bringing up karmic lessons. So there is this lesson in regards to an emphasis where you're moving away from your personal identity and how you've always approached life. You're realizing that life isn't perfect, that you may not want to be perfect, that you can't or you shouldn't strive for perfection. And you want to let go of being overly critical of yourself right now. And there's a tendency to serve at the cost of your own identity. So I would actually encourage a lot of Virgo and Virgo risings to say, hey, I need help, or telling your partners, hey, that you need to talk to them about how you're feeling, or working with a therapist or a healer or somebody who can give you that feedback and make you realize maybe all of this needing to be perfect all of the time, it's really wearing on you, and let's get to the core of why you feel that way and let's work out all of the kinks. So your takeaway here is that this is going to be about overcoming limitations, okay, within yourself. Working on your self-worth, learning to, really appreciate your worth beyond productivity and service to other people. You are embracing relationships and balance. You are learning that other people can be there and support you as well. You're learning to focus on compassion over criticism. And also another transit that you guys are going to be having is Mars is going to go through your sign this year. So you're going to be seeing that kind of happening, I think, closer to, let's see, did I write that down? Closer to mid-June through August. Mars will finally leave Leo and it'll go into Virgo, and it'll be in your first house. So the Mars does very well in the first house. So this is going to be a time where then you're going to see this energy kind of ramp up. You're going to have more energy and more momentum. There's going to be more drive. You're going to take more action. Mars in the first house will be energizing your identity and your appearance. And this is also about how you initiate action and what you do first thing in the morning, or if you're working out and stuff like that. So you may feel more assertive and more motivated during this time. You can be a little frustrated, but as long as you have an outlet, you'll be good. I do feel like you will be focusing on health and work, and Mars will amplify your focus on health and your routines, and you may take on a new health routine. But also this is going to be about really transforming who you are, taking accountability for who you are, what you're doing. And I'm excited to see what you get done. You know, I think that this could be a very powerful year, not only for relationships, but finally peeling away all of these old kind of layers of who you used to be, so you can embrace this new version of yourself, likely in partnership and harmony with another person. So your key takeaways here is make time, you know, for yourself and learn how to ask for help. You know, don't shy away from relationship focus. Yes, the eclipses between your 1st and 7th feel like a balancing act, but if you, you know, take action with awareness, and if you channel this energy, especially when Mars is in your sign, into constructive action, then you're not burning out. You know, you could create a lot of positive change in your life this year. I think the key here is integration. You're integrating both you and also Pisces, and learning how to, you know, maybe use the eclipse in your 1st house as a catalyst for this process, and showing you where you really need to grow and change. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that's what I have for today. That is going to be the first, you know, the first 6 signs, Aries through Virgo. Catch me here on Thursday. We're going to be talking all about Libra through Pisces. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Leave me a comment below and let me know. Are you one of these rising sun or moon signs? Are you already feeling these energies? And what do you anticipate for these transits in 2025? And like I said, it's not too late to join me for my live webinar on January 1st. Click the link below, head over to my website at Beyond the Veil Tarot, schedule a you know, New Year's reading with me. Let me help you make 2025 your best year. I have all different types of readings available: natal charts, solar returns, transits, synastry, and much more. And thank you guys so much. I'm wishing you a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I will be seeing you back here on Thursday. Take care.